And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Good morning, Car Clinic affiliates. Your Car Clinic minutes for the week of November 13th, 2017 are about to head your way. So go ahead and press that record button. As always, thank you for broadcasting and listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Have a great weekend.
Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. A friend asked Henry Ford, "Soy, what you been up to?" To most people, this has been a greeting, but to Mr. Ford, it was an idea. I'll tell you how he used his noodle when I come back.
O'Reilly. When your battery goes dead, everything comes to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts will help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Henry Ford's known for great ideas, but he really used his bean on this one. Soybean, that is. During the Depression, Ford's chemists focused on converting agricultural products into industrial products to stimulate the farm-based economy. Enter the soybean who, in My Fair Lady style, was transformed from dirt-poor roots into the plastic of star car parts, like horn buttons, gearshift knobs, and body enamel. Soy wouldn't, you know? Ford didn't stop there. He also developed a soy wool-like fabric that cost half of sheep's wool. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with another Car Clinic Minute. More may be the plaintive cry of turbocharged consumers, but it's also the voice of your vehicle's engine. When I come back, I'll tell you what the automotive beast wants more of.
O'Reilly. When your battery goes dead, everything comes to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts will help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Like consumers burn products and services and beg for more, so do vehicle engines burn gas and air and beg for more. And just like credit limits restrict buying power, so do limitations on number and size of cylinders reduce automotive power. Okay, so how do hungry engines get their power fix? Turbochargers. Here's how one works. Trapped exhaust air spins a turbine, which then turns an air pump, which compresses air. This squeezed air takes up less room, so more can be shoved into an engine's cylinders. When more air meets gas, kapow! More energy or horsepower is created. Thankfully, aftermarket turbochargers are readily available to feed the consumer beast. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Baby, it's cold outside, but you're not the only one who's shivering. Slip on your down jacket and hang out a while, 'cause when I come back, I'll tell you how to rescue your car from the cold.
O'Reilly. When your battery goes dead, everything comes to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts will help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. O'Reilly Auto Parts.
If the dropping mercury has your vehicle frozen and your temper boiling, keep your cool by keeping cold. C-O-L-D. C. Before your morning coffee, check your vehicle. Window frost and ice door locks mean more time getting ready to go, so start early. O. Open frozen doors by heating with a hairdryer or use de-icer on the lock. L. Lights are important, so brush snow from both front and rear lights. D. Defrost the windows and warm the interior. But after you start the engine, back your vehicle out of the garage. Carbon monoxide fumes could really put a chill on your day. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Wearing faux fur, surfing the net, and flying the flag. Behaviors that are all the rage. But if your driving's in that rage category, kick it to the curb. I'll tell you why when we come back.
O'Reilly. When your battery goes dead, everything comes to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts will help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Aggressive drivings, one outrageous, make that road-rageous behaviors that can destroy property and cost lives. And if you thought road rage only happens in big cities in the Northeast or California, listen to this. According to the Bureau of Transportation Statistics, the 5 states with highest aggressive driving rates are South Carolina, Wyoming, Alabama, Kansas, and Oklahoma. Urban or rural, you can control road rage by honoring one road rule. The golden rule, that is. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Welcome to the lifestyles of the rich and famous. Forget about the $1 million mansions, because this week we're looking at 4-wheeled fortunes. Find out what $100,000 gets you when I come back.
O'Reilly.
When your battery goes dead, everything comes to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts will help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
This week, we're living the high life with cars that cost as much as houses. Starting with a Maserati Quattroporte, a 4-door, 5-seat luxury sedan with laminated glass, Poltrona Frau leather seats, and a Bosch Blancpain multimedia system that includes exterior sound canceling audio, satellite phone, and rear seat TV DVD player. Add a satellite navigation system, electric sunshade, separate climate controls, and a 4.2-liter V8 engine, and it's easy to see why this mean machine cost over $90,000. Believe it or not, this is the cheapest car on our list. Tune in tomorrow for cars that really break the bank. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Count down to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
Okay, here we go again. This is going to be a great show. This is one of those days and weekends that I've been waiting for. Happy Veterans Day to everyone out there. Thank you all so much for protecting us and our families. I was in the Army, and I can tell you today is just a fantastic day. The day is beautiful. I'm going to be giving away a Diablosport tuner kit today. It's $355 value. We talked about it for the last couple of weeks, so, stay tuned for that. And by the way, today, actually, I'm going to be proud to say that Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part by Diablosport and their new Intune i3 performance programmer. Folks, you can boost your vehicle's power without ever popping the hood. It's a plug and play. I've done it. It works. It's unbelievable. In the meantime, you can learn more at Diablosport.com. And let's go. Let's get the phone calls started for every person who calls in with a question. You can't just call and say, oh, Miss Jan. Oh, by the way, Miss Jan is back in the house with us this morning. And we're going to be going first right out of the bag to Daytona and find out what's going on in Daytona. The Motorsports Director for WNDB 1150 AM and 93.5, Terry Sabiston, is going to be joining us and you at 888-227-2546. 227-2546. Cars when I come back.
Your car and your life have a lot of moving parts, and your car's battery is what keeps it all going. Here's something to keep in mind. While all batteries may look the same on the outside, it's what's inside that matters. So be sure to choose a battery with power frame technology inside. It's stronger, more durable, and keeps you going longer. That means you can count on a battery with power frame to be there start after start. Here's another reason to feel good about choosing a battery with power frame inside. It's manufactured using the latest sustainable processes. You're moving fast, and you don't want anything to slow you down, especially an unreliable battery. So the next time you need to replace your car's battery, make sure you choose one with power frame technology inside. Look for power frame on the outside and know there's true strength on the inside.
Here's another Berryman testimonial where everyday drivers share their experiences with products featuring Hest, Berryman's exclusive high-energy solvent technology. Olivia writes in about her 99 Infiniti Q45. The vehicle has 170,000 miles and is starting to hesitate and lag. After researching online, Olivia decided on Berryman's B12 Chem Tool and could not be happier. The product works great and is less expensive, a great value. Learn more about Berryman products and their Hest technology at berrymanproducts.com. The Predator's back on the prowl. Diablosport's legendary performance tuner has made a return. The Predator 2 continues where its predecessor left off, providing users tremendous performance gains, an unprecedented collection of adjustable options, advanced data logging capabilities, and much more. And I'm going to be giving away a Predator 2 in the coming weeks at a suggested $355 retail value. For more information about the Predator 2, drive to Diablosport.com. That's Diablosport.com, and stay tuned for your chance to win.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Rosie Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, Loden, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, starts my morning, happy morning. Your name is Folgers Mountain Grow, now you're here. Your aroma helps me wake and the day is mine to take. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome to this show. You can't believe what's going through my mind. I said, well, you know, I'm ready. Okay, and I was thinking to myself, let's get this show on the road. And you know, I said, well, what a pun that would be, you know, and all you know, no pun intended. But let's get this show on the road, and let's first travel south, and that's right. Now, just because we broadcast from the center of the automotive universe doesn't mean that we're in Florida or in South Florida, because everyone thinks that we're in South Florida, like everyone thinks that we're on Eastern time, but really we're on Central time because we actually are broadcasting from, well, no pun intended, L.A., Lower Alabama. That's what it's called. Actually, it's Northwest Florida. It is Florida's last frontier, and it is the top city in the nation, or in the top 10 cities in the nation, with regard to where people want to live. That's another story. Maybe we'll have one of the city councilmen to join us one day and talk about this great city. Meantime, we're going to travel to Daytona Beach. Terry Sabiston, he's been around cars a fairly good while. Of course, if you live, work, and breathe and sleep cars, and you live in Daytona Beach, I guess there's not a lot else to do except go to the beach, and you're there. Terry, glad to have you join us this morning. Welcome.
Good to be here, Bobby, and glad to join you. And first off, I want to thank, being Veterans Day, all our service members out there and all our veterans. And as a veteran myself, just thanks for the service, especially one veteran that really means a lot to me, and that's my dad. So let's get that out of the way and honor those veterans, because that's what this day is really about.
Well, I will tell you, to that end, we're going to, and now would be a great time, Miss Jan, if you'll roll that video. So, Terry, this week I came by a salute to veterans from Food City, and there's no words to it. It's just music, but it's a 1-minute clip, and we're running that now as you and I are going to be talking. But we're going to be sharing that with our listeners who are watching, our viewers at WatchBobbyLive.com. And folks, if you've never been to WatchBobbyLive.com, you must go there and stick around this hour, because I'm going to show this video 2 or 3 times, and I've watched it a half a dozen times. And Terry, when you get caught up later on in the day, I know your day's full, and we're going to be talking about what's going on there in Daytona, but you must see this. Just Google Food City Salute to Food City Salute, and Fabio, that'll come up, right? Yeah, okay. But in the meantime, Terry, what's going on in Daytona?
I'm actually standing in the garage right now, and there's a little thing called Historic Sports Car Racing, the Classic 24. I say a little thing. There is not an empty spot in the garage, okay? And to comprehend this, just imagine every color you can imagine from every race car that's ever raced the 24 hours is here. And every car, it seems like. This is really a throwback in history. And I'm standing next to a Lola. There's a Porsche sitting over here on the other side, a half dozen Porsches. The Trans Am guys are getting ready to have a Trans Am race with the SCCA Trans Am Series. They start at 10:15, so we might have some noise in the background here. These guys are staged here in the garage area, getting ready to roll out, and that's the SCCA Trans Am Series. This is the real, this isn't classic cars. These are the guys that are going to go out here and run I think an hour and a half, 2-hour race before the Classic 24 Hours starts at 1 o'clock this afternoon.
And Terry,
now, to put in perspective, this is crazy the way they're doing this, but we have about 125 cars here with 250 drivers.
So let me ask a question. Is this SCCA this is not around the Daytona track. It is through and loops, and this is that infield course. Is that correct?
Correct. This is on the infield road course, which, due to a light shower, we've got a little bit of rain out here. It'll be a little slow start, but I think the track will dry quickly once they get out there. We've had practice sessions this morning for the 24 hours, but yeah, this is the SCCA race on the 3.5-mile road course, and this is I've taken laps on that course, and it's unbelievable. The speeds and how fast they get going on the infield, and then they take it out onto the super speedway on a backstretch and head down that backstretch. And then you got that little thing called the bus stop.
Yeah.
They slow down barely enough to get through that, and then you're back up into the banking all the way around back to turn one where you dive back onto the road course again. So
and how many?
It's an awesome.
And how many different classes of cars? I mean, do they enter? Like for instance, in some races, like in Sebring. The 12 hours of Sebring that I attended for years, they had 4 or 5 different classes on this track at the same time. So you've got one car running 210 miles an hour wide open, and another car running 160 wide open, and they're both reaching the hairpin at the same time. What gives? Is that the way this particular race is going to be set up, or is it going to be all Lolas?
Yes, it is, but yes and no. I think there's 12 classes. And a couple of the classes run together. There's going to be six sessions with 12 classes. So there'll be 2 classes in each session. Now, the classes are by year. The older cars are going to be in the first class, and I'm talking, early 60s. And you're going to have, your Mustang and your Camaro and your, mixed in with a Lola and things like that. Then as the classes move on up to the 6th classes, from 5 and 6 years ago that ran in the Rolex. So we've got some championship cars, and a lot of these cars are championship cars. These are the actual race cars that raced back in 1965, 70, 75, 80, 85, all the way through. I've seen these cars over the years and racing in the 24 hours, and now they've come back out and brought the cars out. But what's cool is some of the drivers that drove these cars are back out here racing them again. So we've not only got a stable of exotic race cars, we've got some of the top drivers in the country out here.
We're talking to Terry Sabiston from Daytona Beach, actually from the Daytona International Speedway. And so Terry, you mentioned Lola, and then you mentioned Mustang. I mean, that's an oxymoron. I mean, no slam against Mustang, but really Lola while the Mustang is a true race car, built for racing, no question, the Lola is a ground up. It's not a modified Mustang or a modified Camaro. It's a car that was designed, on the drawing board and made by hand, every piece of it. And so that's like a Grand Am car. I mean, is that correct?
Correct. And when I say Mustang, I'm talking a 65 split back.
Oh, what's that car worth?
I mean, there's some really sweet Mustangs out here.
What are these cars? What are these cars worth?
They are priceless to these people. And this is a family. You see, it's mom, dad, the kids all out here. This is their hobby, their fun, and it's awesome. I'm walking up right now. This looks like a 65 fastback and painted up. Now, BRM chronographs, I got to give them credit because they've made all these old stickers that look just like they did back in the day.
Wow,
beautiful 68 Camaro here, painted white with a big 29 and the big round numbers. You know how they did the round numbers back in the day?
Absolutely.
All these cars. Yeah, that's how all these cars look. There's the Trans Am Series fired up.
There you go. There you go.
This is a full day. At 1 o'clock this afternoon, the first session rolls off, and what they do is they run for an hour, and then the next group, and they run 6 through the first time. After 6 hours, the first group that went out the first time, they go back out again. So each class will run 4 hours, but spread out over a 24-hour period of time.
Well, that's very interesting, and I just, and for once, I really do wish that I was there because, folks, this is a race where nostalgia, of course, it just blossoms all over the track. And you've got people that love these automobiles, and yet here they are putting these cars on the ragged edge. And you mentioned the track is a little wet, and so the first thing that I came to mind is, wow, that's going to be really interesting this first couple of laps. But for a driver, it's not interesting at all. That's a challenge because how far do you push that envelope, and then how far do you push it early in the game? I mean, that's a lot of decisions going on. So I wouldn't be surprised if the first 5 laps will be obviously one of the most dangerous of all of the laps. And how many laps will there be per, or is it not a lap, it's per hour, right?
They run about 50-minute sessions, and your speed averages are a little over 100 miles an hour. So, and they're 3.5 miles. So they're running about 30 laps every hour.
Wow.
And so figure that out. So each car will run 120 laps once they, or around 120 to 130 laps. And, of course, you're going to rotate some drivers in and out of there.
Right.
You're going to have 2 drivers in all these cars, at least.
Well, Terry, it's always terrific to hear from you in Daytona, and thank you so much for being all of the Car Clinic listeners and viewers' eyes and ears. And folks, this gent knows that he's been there, he's done that, and he's a motorsports director for our inaugural affiliate, WNDB 1150 AM in Daytona Beach. We have been on that station. Well, we've had the show for 26 years. And guess what? We've been on WNDB for 26 years. So, Terry, I'll let you get back to the fun. Stay safe and enjoy. And thank you so much for taking the time to share with us what's going on in Daytona Beach this morning.
It's rolling by here on the infield road course. This is awesome. Daytona International Speedway, the classic 24 hours. It only costs $50 to come out for the weekend. Anybody who's within sound of my voice, you're missing something big. Come on out.
Very good. Take care. There you have it, folks. If you're in the Daytona Beach area, get on out there and call us from out there. I'll be back. Folks, October is Fall Car Care Month, and there's no better time to perform a thorough check of vehicle maintenance items. Start with your heater and defroster to make sure they're working properly. Consider winter wiper blades and use a cold weather washer fluid. There is a difference. Keeping your gas tank at least half full during cold weather may also prevent moisture buildup in gas lines that could ultimately freeze. Dirty or low oil can cause problems in the winter, so be diligent about recommended oil change intervals. Consider a winter weight oil if you live in a cold climate. Winter is a great time to also check your fuel, air, and transmission filter maintenance history. Daylight savings means it's a good time to check all exterior and interior lights and make sure the headlights are properly aimed and the lenses are clear. For more great tips, videos, and recommended service schedules, visit carcare.org. While you're there, order a free copy of the Car Care Guide for your glove box. That's carcare.org. Another question from the Car Clinic inbox. Dear Bobby, I've driven a company car for years, so I haven't had the need to shop for tires in a long time. My daughter is away at school and is going to need new tires when she comes home for a break. She drives a late model Ford Fusion. Any advice? Absolutely. Knowledge is power, so my first suggestion is to log on to a reputable website with great information. I recommend GeneralTire.com, which actually features a tire selector that allows you to search for tires by make, model, or tire size. In terms of specific tires for your daughter's Fusion, General just came out with its G-Max AS05, a terrific all-season tire with excellent handling and tread wear characteristics. And the G-Max AS05 also features a number of technological advancements that would be new since the last time you shopped for tires. Visual alignment indicators actually extend tire life by identifying vehicle misalignment, and Replace Tire Monitor technology alerts you when a change of tires is needed. That's GeneralTire.com. Good luck with your daughter's Fusion.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
The airlines like to have sales. Summer getaway sales, holiday sales, winter sales. Truth is, at any moment, some airline somewhere is on sale with low fares to great destinations. Travelocity knows exactly what's going on, who's on sale, to where, and when, at over 700 airlines worldwide. We even have this nifty feature that lets you look at a calendar so that you can see exactly the days the great fares are available. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere. AOL keyword, travel.
Hun, guess my temperature.
It's 2 a.m. Go to sleep.
Come on, one guess.
I'm 98.
Higher.
Higher at 99.
You're getting warmer. Wait, I'm getting warmer.
Cold symptoms keeping you from getting a good night's sleep? Get NyQuil, the nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever so you can sleep better to feel better medicine. Use as directed.
One more guess.
100?
Yes. Tell her what she's won, Bob.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your hosts, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic, folks. Talking with Fabio, our producer, in the break, and we were, chatting about Terry Savaston and Daytona Beach and those cars. And as I said, you got some cars that are $100,000 and probably some that are $5 million. And here they are racing these cars. They could tear them up. And I guess if they rolled them and they damaged them, they just go rebuild them. I mean that's what they do, because these cars are indeed they're the old original cars that were on that track in the 60s and 70s, and they're running, of course, they're probably better today. Not probably, they are. Just the fact alone that tires are better today than they were. And speaking of tires, I'm going to share with you a little information update about the General Tire a little bit later in the program. But first, we're going to take, and let me share this with you so that you who are listening but haven't called in yet will understand. I will be giving away a Diablosport Predator 2 tuner. And this tuner is a $355 retail value, and it's a horsepower producer, torque producer. The performance, it just adds performance and economy right by plug and play. And I've talked about this and promoted it for the last 2 or 3 weeks. Well, today is the day, Veterans Day. What better day? And we're going to be choosing a winner. And how do you get your name in the hat? You call, and we will put your name in the hat. And for those of you who are on Watch Bobby Live, feel free to call as well. And I hope that those of you who are at Watch Bobby Live had an opportunity to see the veterans video that Food City, that we borrowed from Food City. And it's not a commercial spot at all. It is a spot that I will tell you, if it doesn't bring tears to your eyes or make the hair roll up on your arm, something's wrong with you. I'm telling you, it's unbelievable. Let's go to New York. We'll take a call from Dan, and then we're going to take your calls. Miss Jan will, of course, at 888 Car Clinic. That's 888-227-2546. Dan, thanks for holding. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Bobby. Thanks for taking my call today.
You're welcome. What can I do for you?
Oh, I've had 4 of the different pickup trucks, all the 2002 to 2005 Dodge Ram model year, and they've all had the 5.7 Hemi in them. And I'm on my 4th one now, and I'm getting up near 100,000 miles. In the other 3 trucks that I've had, around 100,000 miles, I started having problems with oil pressure when I would initially start the truck. If I turned the truck on, I would have no oil pressure. If I shut it off and turned it directly back on, I would have oil pressure. One of the things I thought that it might have been with the first 2 trucks I had was the viscosity of the oil, because I was noticing it happening more when it was cold out than when it was warmer, like in June, July. But the last truck I had, I was having the problem just touch and go in the middle of the summer, and there was no rhyme or reason whether the truck had been running or whether the truck had been sitting for a while, just having trouble trying to figure it out.
And so if we were to back up, what repaired, or did you repair any of those previous trucks?
Well, I've had a couple of different mechanics with the different pickup trucks. The first truck, they tried replacing the oil pump. They tried using a lower viscosity oil. However, like I said, when it was cold with those first 2 trucks, it didn't make a difference. And then with this other truck, the last truck that I had that was doing it randomly, and not all the time either. Sometimes it would do it for a month straight, and then it would stop for a couple of weeks, and then it would start all of a sudden again. The mechanic said he thought it was something electrical, but he said I had oil pressure and I didn't need to worry about it. But I have another truck, and it seems to be a reoccurring theme with the 5.7 Hemi, and I'd like to try to pin it down before I start having that problem with this truck, so I know what needs to be fixed before.
Yeah, I agree, Dan. And here's the challenge that I'm having. Oil pressure, if indeed your engine doesn't have oil pressure, there'll be some collapse of lifters and timing chain noise and what have you. When these engines did not have oil pressure, you knew that because the oil pressure light was on. Do they have a gauge? I mean, electric, I know, but do they have a gauge and a warning light within the gauge, or is there just an oil pressure light that comes on when the pressure drops below a certain point?
It has both. It has the gauge and the oil pressure light, but I had no noise whatsoever, abnormal noise whatsoever from the engine. I had just, when I turn the truck on, you automatically check your gauges.
Sure.
I noticed I have no pressure.
Well, that's perplexing, and of course, the first thing that you would do, and what I would have already done, and what I would recommend is to temporarily install a real gauge. And a real gauge just goes to the artery of the engine and tees into the artery. There's a little plumbing involved, but we've all done this in the automotive world. So what you need to know, I mean, primarily, scratch all the history. What you need to know, if you've got this same issue with your 03 Ram now, is you need to know what the real blood pressure is of that vehicle and when and how it comes up. And the only way to do that is to run a mechanical gauge, although it does have a sender unit that sends a grounding signal to the dash gauge. Have a mechanical gauge. Either unplug the original gauge and use that port of the engine, which is easy, and that would be okay to do as long as you secure the loose wires where the original sensor plugs in. And this depends on how accessible it is as well. But it'll be that oil pressure sender will be either at the back of the block or somewhere around the oil filter. But here's the point. If it's easy enough, put a T so that you've opened another extra port, and then from that T, run the line to a real gauge. You can either run it through the firewall of the truck, or as a temporary measure, and this is perfectly okay, you could tape using duct tape. There you go. There's always room for duct. We call it 200-mile-an-hour tape because we've actually strapped lead on the front of a dragster to hold the front wheels down years ago with duct tape. But here's the bottom line. You could leave that as a test and tape it onto the windshield, and it would be at the base of the windshield. The line would go between the hood and the body. You want to make sure it didn't get pinched, and obviously that's a no-brainer. And then you could watch the real oil pressure come up as the engine is fired up every morning. And here's what you should see. You fire the engine, and the gauge is not going to go from rest 0 to click to 30 or 40 or 50, because pressure doesn't build. Pressure accumulates. And oil pressure is nothing more than resistance to flow. So you must have flow first, which means that the oil pump, and oil has to be what's called pumpable. And pumpable, Dan, means if you put molasses in the pan and it's 30 degrees outside, it ain't pumpable. I mean, you're just not going to move that oil. So, number one, that's why I recommend year-round, whether you're in New York as you are, or in California or Florida or Texas, you run the lowest viscosity so that you get the fastest flow of oil quicker than regular oil, than higher viscosity oil, because it is the lubrication and the flow of oil through the nooks and crannies of the engine that protect it. It's not how thick the oil is, because now car makers are using 0-20 oil, and racers, when they qualify, NASCAR, now you don't use zero weight oil at NASCAR, but hey, you do too. They actually run 0 to qualify so that they can have the least resistance in that engine for the 2 laps, and the engine is not damaged by this light oil. Now, having said all that, that's what I would do if I were you, so that you would know, number one, if you have an oil pressure problem or you have an electronics problem, because 100,000 miles or 10,000 miles, you should not be having this. 100,000 miles on today's engine's not a big deal, Dan. And in closing, I want to share this with you. If you were driving a GM, I could tell you exactly what was causing this loss of oil pressure, erratic oil pressure. And so, folks, if you've got an 07 Tahoe out there and you have erratic pressure, and you will, it's just a matter of age and time. It usually happens in the 150,000 miles because of the time and what have you. There's an easy fix for that, and it's very inexpensive as opposed to replacing the engine. So, Dan, let me turn the mic back to you. What thoughts do you have? What questions?
I do believe that the mechanic had my truck for almost a week, and he had started the truck when it was cold out, He said I did have oil pressure. He had a gauge that he had put in to make sure it had pressure, even though the pressure gauge in the truck was reading nothing. And then when he would turn it off and turn it right back on, then the gauge in the truck would turn on.
So then this tells me that after all of our conversations and what have you, which is that's, and folks, what we're talking about here with Dan is the communication between Dan and me, okay? But when this conversation goes about your car and you go to your local shop, this is the kind of communication you need to have at your local shop, and that's really what the show is all about. So Dan, if your technician has already confirmed that it was electronics and not engine oil pressure, then indeed he needs to look for technical service bulletins and or recalls. Well, probably won't be a recall, but they're online, and you can't believe what you see online. So I'm not suggesting you go online to find the fix. I'm suggesting that you search online for a common denominator, and if there's 40 lines or 40 different on a forum or a post, and there's 40 different folks that had this similar or same problem, and there again, you see, you never know when you're reading online if it is a similar. They say low oil pressure, and one person could have had an electric problem, another one could have had an engine problem, another one could have just bought the vehicle and be looking at a temp gauge and rather than the oil pressure. You never know. So I think if I were you, I would look, and let me give you at least a website to go to for some straightforward technical information that will help you, and your technician should already know this, but just in case, it's alldata.com. And I've mentioned AllData I've been on the air 26 years. I've mentioned AllData 26 years because I use AllData I've been in automotive service business for 47 years. So the AllData, when it came out, and AllData was founded by Rod Giorgio, and was sold, but he was a visionary, and like Elon Musk. I mean, he just sat around and said, what can we do to make things better, and what does the industry need? And he came up with AllData for all the data that we need to fix your car. Now you can go to alldata.com, and there's a professional side which you can't get into. Then there's a consumer side, which you can get into, and I would definitely check for technical service bulletins to put your car in. And Dan, we're going to put your name in the hat for the Diablosport giveaway at the end of today's program. Thank you so much. Folks, got to take a short break. Don't touch that dial. I'll be back. Today's vehicles have more than 150 electrical accessories for safety, comfort, and sustainability, 7 times the number 20 years ago. Only AGM batteries are precision engineered to meet this electrical demand by reliably supporting backup cameras, start-stop technology, and many other devices. AGM batteries have longer life than standard flooded batteries and will not spill acid during installation or during an accident. When you need a new battery, insist on an AGM battery to meet today's evolving electrical needs.
Did you know that birthday parties help build confidence in kids?
Yeah. Did you know that giving kids less sugar before bedtime helps them sleep better?
Oh, totally. Did you know that friendly kids have more friends?
Everybody knows that.
Hey, guys, did you know that most people think they're using the right car seat for their kid, but they're not?
I didn't know that.
Parents who really know it all know for sure that their child is in the right car seat at the right age and size. Visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat to make sure your child is protected. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Waking up can be a chore, but mornings knocking on my front door. Know just what I'll do. Put on a pot of Folgers brew. Mountain grown aroma hits the spot. Helps me give all that I've got. An opportunity to start out smiling and happy. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
I'm privileged to be involved with Capstone Adaptive Learning, formerly known as United Cerebral Palsy, for over 25 years. Since 1953, Capstone has provided quality care programs for persons with developmental disabilities like autism, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, and intellectual disabilities. Dr. Sherry White with her team are dedicated to Capstone's clients, and 100% of your contributions stay local to serve those in this community. Go to capstoneadaptivelearning.org to see the difference Capstone makes.
Technology moves at the speed of innovation, and today,
That's lightning fast. So when you get your hands on the latest tech, don't forget to do the right thing with your old devices. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old tech device as easy as purchasing new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the responsible recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find lots of tips to simplify your recycling, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Television sets, video game consoles, smartphones, tablets, they're all recyclable. Don't let them clog up your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org. You're sharp enough to get the latest tech tools into your home. Now be responsible enough to get your old devices to the recycler. That's greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. I want to make sure that all of you, maybe you've just tuned in, but I want to make sure that during today's program, at the end of today's program, which will be the end of the second hour, we are in the first hour as we speak, I'm going to be giving away a Predator 2. Now, you may not know what a Predator 2 is, but it's a Diablosport tuner. And the tuner is a performance programmer that adds horsepower and economy to the vehicle that you drive. Now, if you have a Mercedes, no, it will not. This particular product is designed for and applies to Ford, GM, so if you have a Ford or a GM, Chrysler, Jeep, or a Ram, then you're good to go. And you simply, it's a handheld device that you plug into the data port, and I've used one, I've installed one in a Ford EcoBoost, and it is phenomenal. It's just amazing. But the Predator 2 gives you a tremendous performance gain, and it's extraordinarily a collection of adjustable options, and it's a data logger, much more. So I'm going to be giving one away today. The number for you to call with your car question so that you can put your name in the hat is 888-CAR-CLINIC. That's 888-227-2546. You don't want to miss it. And this supports, as I said, Ford, GM, Chrysler, Dodge, Ram, and Jeep. And by the way, it's loaded with everything that you need right out of the box. So give Jan a call, 888-CAR-CLINIC, and we'll talk about your questions and your cars, or you can just ask about the Predator 2, and we'll go from there. And going from here, I'm going to go to Stan and welcome Stan to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Stan, good morning, and welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Well, good morning. Thank you for taking my call.
My pleasure, sir.
I have an agenda of a couple of three things this morning because you have triggered a lot of good thoughts. But first, I got to tell you how much I appreciate the good work that you did on my 95 Miata in going through and doing the annual inspection so that I get to see through your eyes instead of just mine. And you also have a rack so you get up higher. And I really recommend that service.
It helps, doesn't it?
Great to have.
And you know, I appreciate that, Stan. And I will tell you, folks, we took what's called a PPI, a pre-purchase vehicle inspection, and gosh, we've saved a lot of people a lot of money. It's one of our probably it's second to the ANI, the annual inspection, which is what Stan's referring to. For our service facility. And for those of you not sure, some 50 or 60 hours a week, we operate, we service, maintain, repair, and prevent repair on our customers' cars. And we have a 15,000 square foot automotive service shop. And this year we're inducted into the Best Automotive Shop on the Bay Hall of Fame, Best Oil Change. That Hall of Fame is unbelievable. And also, Best of the Coast. And I've talked about this before, but just to make sure that you know, our most recent and most powerful to me, it's like, I think of Veterans Day, and my team are veterans in as much as they really put effort into doing their job and making sure that they do all that they can do. And to that end, we were elected and awarded the Better Business Bureau Torch Award for Ethics in Business. And that includes all businesses in both Santa Rosa and Escambia counties, not just automotive, but all businesses. And there are 3 business size categories. That just doesn't happen. It's never happened in 46 plus 47 years. So enough about us, but that's the sort of thing that can get you out of bed and get you going in the morning. And we're not perfect, but I'll tell you, whenever there's a problem, we stand up to it and we take full accountability, and that's what it's all about. But Stan, you have comments about the race, because I know you're a racer in your days, and what's going on in Daytona as we speak has to really be interesting to you, because you've been there, done that, right?
Well, I didn't race Daytona, but I raced against and with a lot of those people, a lot of those cars, and you're exactly right. It stirred up stuff from my memories, and every now and then I say, "Oh, why am I not there today?" But I did want to comment that you're exactly right, and I did race a lot of times. I raced a 1961 Porsche 356 that had been converted to a race car, and sometimes we were the slowest car in the fastest group, which meant you get your car straightened out to go onto the straight, you check your mirrors. You get halfway down the street, you check your mirrors, and that little dot was suddenly going to come zooming by you. And sometimes there were cars that didn't handle as well as my car, because Porsches are really good about handling, so they take 2 or 3 curves before I could get back around them. And the idea was get back around them quickly so that they didn't catch me on the straight, so I could stay in front, because then they'd slow me down.
Right.
But the degree of concentration for that period of time is what I really enjoyed about racing. It was phenomenal how fast your mind can speed up to make things that are going so fast seem reasonable to do. I did remember you talked about rain. I raced for a number of years I always had a very limited budget. Somebody said, "Is there any money in it?" I said, "Oh yes, lots of it, and it all goes out."
I know that feeling, because I raced rear engine dragsters and built rear engine dragster engines, and I did have partners who had the cars, the rails. The problem was that I was the motor man. I built the motors, and so they would look at the car and say, "Well, the car looks beautiful," and, but the motors blew up, so was on my shoulder. But I tell you, it gave me a phenomenal education, albeit expensive. But you never forget your mistakes, and you don't make the same mistake again, and you still continue to learn, because even when you fix or repair or replace a problem that you caused, or because you pushed the mechanical component beyond the limit, another component then is stretched and stressed. And Stan, even though, and I was not a pro, this was a weekend warrior kind of a race, and it sounds like you're the same thing. Even though that is true for you, and it certainly was true for me in my days, although we set records and we did well, even today, a couple of years ago, last year in fact, Honda increased their open wheel engine, and Honda and Chevrolet provide the engines for the Indy cars. None of the Indy cars are owned, by the way, folks. These cars are all rented from Dallara, as I remember the name. And Dallara makes all the cars. So all the racers, all the owners have the same car. Now they can tweak the chassis, but it's the same car. And they also get either a Chevrolet engine or a Honda. And none of those racers, including Andretti, now I was in his camp, none of those racers can even start an engine unless the Honda, if he's running a Honda engine, or the Chevrolet rep is there to watch him fire that engine up. That's a fact, and that's today. I said all that to say this. So, and Stan, you'll appreciate this. Honda's mortality rate after they bumped 10 horsepower into their engines, and they never really said publicly what they did, but they had, let's say that out of 50 engines, they had 1.5 failures, the average, right? They were having 5 out of 50. And those numbers are not correct, but I'm saying that the number of failures over a measly 10 horsepower, because what they did really to get the extra 10 horsepower wasn't the part that broke. It caused other pieces to break, and at first they really weren't able to, as the story goes and my information goes, Honda was not able to pinpoint what really caused the problem, except they knew that they were pushing that envelope, and that's what they do. They push, and push, and finally, you can only put so much air in a balloon before it's going to pop. Well, folks, air is what drives an engine, and you can only put so much pressure on top of the piston. Even if you got a tiny 4-cylinder, you can produce horsepower, which is what they're doing these days, that equals a V8 by increasing the pressure. But when you push that pressure with turbos or multiple turbos like the Ford EcoBoost, and you put that pressure on top of the piston, there are limits. And to that end, all of the manufacturers, and this actually has a lot to do with this Diablosport unit that we're giving away today. The factory makes engines on the safe side. They detune every engine. Every car you buy on the street today has been detuned. Why? Because you're the public. You don't know how to take care of a car. I mean, you're not a racer. You don't know the ins and outs. You just put the key in and turn it, and you don't really understand the pressures that's going on, because you didn't buy the car to get into the engine while you were driving it. You bought it to enjoy it, to be in the car. So the bottom line, it's very interesting to me because, and Stan, you'll appreciate this, and folks, this has a lot to do with actually my personality. I loved working on automobiles when I could make a difference. Well, how do you do that? Well, you change the jets in the carburetor, you advance the distributor. I was the king of distributors. I used to love to take dashes apart too, and then in the 90s, of course, in '80 they started electronic control carburetors. That was still fun, but in the 90s when all of the adjustments went away, no distributors, no carburetors, it was all electronic controls, and the only thing you could do was put a PROM, program RAM, and change the PROM. That was all you could do to change how a vehicle ran. Well, guess what? It was no fun. Whatever you got from the factory, that's it. That's all it would do. Just like if you're driving an EcoBoost today, you say, well, this car runs good. Well, let me tell you something. There are chips on the market that can add 100, and get this, to a stock EcoBoost Ford engine, 116 horsepower by plug and play and reprogramming the computer. That's a lot of power that Ford is leaving in that engine. Why? Because they don't want to push it to the limit because it's under warranty, and it's plenty fast enough as it is, and there has to be some correlation and between fast and gas mileage, and fast and gas mileage are opposing throttle positions, if you will. But Stan,
they are.
Yeah,
yes,
they are.
They are. When Formula One required every car to run an entire race without refueling, they limited them to 100 liters of fuel, and all of a sudden, instead of 22,000 RPM, which they can get out of those engines, they now had the fuel economy, and they're now running 11,000, 12,000, and they sound totally different, but they're getting the fuel economy.
And to that end, in closing, when I visited Indiana Corn Council and was their speaker and met Ken Parent, he took me to the track. This was 2 weeks before the Indianapolis 500 2 years ago. Not this past one, but it's been a year and a half ago. It was May, of course, of 15. So I went there and had the run of the track in the Andretti court, and I was at the pit wall, and there was a gentleman that was going out to practice, and he was a rookie, and Alexander Rossi. Alexander, and so I went there and met a lot of people and had a lot of fun and enjoyed, what I was there for, and came home. And then 2 weeks later in the race, Alexander Rossi won. So I was invited back because they thought I was a good luck charm, and I never have done that. But it's just a true story. But Alexander Rossi won because he was a good driver and he stayed out on the track. He managed to get, as memory serves me, 36 laps on one tank of fuel, which is those cars hold 17.5 gallons of gas. They used to hold 20. They hold 17.5 gallons of fuel, which is E85, and he got, I think it came out 2.4 or 2.5, no, 5 miles per gallon. I forget, I have to do the math now, but it was 36 times 2.5, so that was like 70 miles or 90 miles, and I did the math. But the bottom line, he ran out of fuel, but he ran across the finish line first, and so there's the correlation. And so it's very interesting. Stan, thank you so much for your call. It's always great to talk about racing.
Indy. Let's go.
Let's go. Okay, my friend. Okay, folks, we're ready. 888-227-2546. Diablosport Predator 2. I'm going to be giving one away, so if you missed the call this hour, you better get in early the next hour, because this is a $355 value. But you must have a Ford or a GM or a Chrysler or a Jeep or a Ram. But if your brother's got one, hey, that's cool. Doesn't matter to me. It just matters that I want to make sure that a Car Clinic listener gets this prize for obvious reasons. 888-227-2546. I'll share this with you when you get a chance over the weekend or over the week. Go to carcare.org, carcare.org, and look for the general service schedule, and you can download this free booklet that explains how you can keep your car in your garage and out of mine. That's all I have for this hour. Come back after the top. Don't go away.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Folks, recently we had a four-cylinder 2014 Nissan Frontier in the shop. The customer said the vehicle wasn't running well, nothing specific, but fuel mileage was down and the vehicle had lost its zip. As he explained, it's a manual transmission, so I know what it should feel like, and it's just not right. The suggested maintenance and ignition service were up to date, and there were no trouble codes. So what was the problem? The answer lies with today's complex engines. While the maintenance schedule was on time, engines today are prone to carbon deposit formation, and fuel system cleaning is a key piece of the puzzle. Professional fuel system cleaning is an option, but a less expensive alternative is the use of a pour-in fuel system cleaner. We use Berryman B12 Chem Tool in the shop. It features Berryman's proprietary high-energy solvent, or HEST technology. We poured a bottle of Berryman B12 Chem Tool into the Frontier, and after just one tank of gas, MPG improved and the vehicle regained its zippiness. For more information, drive to BerrymanProducts.com. That's BerrymanProducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
If you're familiar with the Kulseford section of the newspaper, you probably understand this message quite well. You see, in the Kulseford section, everything gets abbreviated. Consonants, vowels, prepositional phrases, the very building blocks of our language are thrown right out the window. And that makes it difficult when you're trying to sell your car. You've got a limited amount of space to work with, and by the time you abbreviate the description of your car down to a couple of fragmented sentences, it sounds less like a car and more like a Bluck sedan with sniffed like new condition lemals. No wonder more people are selling their cars through eBay Motors. They can post unlimited text and photo descriptions, and with a nationwide marketplace, they're likely to sell it for more. Plus, both parties can be covered by eBay's vehicle protection program. Buyers are happy, sellers are happy, and no one's abbreviating. eBay Motors, a better way to sell your car.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Count down to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll-free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome to this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. One of these days, we're going to get Marty to recut that open. So, folks, years ago, Marty White, who is a great friend and disc jockey and a talk show host and a local celeb, and has done performed a well of services for charities here at no charge. He's retired now. I called him and I said, would you do the open for my radio program? This is 26 years ago. Yeah. So I gave him $100. It's best $100 I ever spent in my life. So the 1-800-264-5454 number still works, but because it was hard to remember, we tried to get 800 Car Clinic, but we couldn't, but we got 888 Car Clinic. So there's the brief story of how this all evolved. 888-227-2546 is the number that I prefer for you to call. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say that this is Veterans Day. So to all the veterans out there, hats off to you, hearts out to you, and thank you for your services that allow us and enable everyone to fly the flag, because there's nothing better. Okay, I'll take your calls when I get back. Miss Jan's in the house again today. 888-227-2546. Let's get it going. I'm Bobby Likis with today's Vehicle Maintenance Spotlight, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Here's a crash course in brake parts before you have a crash. Master cylinders distribute brake fluid to wheels. Calipers and wheel cylinders convert pressurized brake fluid into stopping power. Brake pads and shoes protect calipers from friction caused by stopping. To be safe, include your entire braking system in regular maintenance. Visit O'Reilly Auto Parts for a wide selection of quality brakes. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices, every day.
O'Reilly. If it's hard to stop or you hear squealing and grinding noises during braking, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts. You'll find the brake parts you need from trusted brands like BrakeBest Select, and Wagner Thermo-Quiet at everyday low prices. Play it safe with brake parts from O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices, every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Diablosport tuning systems give you the ability to easily boost your vehicle's power without even popping the hood. But don't take my word for it. PSCA racer Alex Roggio has been using Diablosport products on her Dodge Magnum since the beginning of her racing career. According to Alex, Diablosport tuners have been an essential part of her success. There really isn't a better line of products that offer quick tuning and diagnostics. Learn more at Diablosport.com. And while you're there, check out the new Intune i3 Performance Programmer. That's Diablosport.com.
Lung cancer kills more people than breast, colon, and prostate cancers combined. And 80% of those diagnosed with lung cancer never smoked or quit decades ago. If you or someone you know has lung cancer, the Bonnie J. Adario Lung Cancer Foundation can help. Text the word LUNGS to 50555 to help lung cancer patients and to fund the research needed to find a cure for the world's deadliest cancer. Go to lungcancerfoundation.org for more information.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Another lending success story from LendingTree.com.
Car dealers like playing games. They play percentage points, they play markups, but I don't like playing with my money. So I got my auto loan through LendingTree.com. I filled out one simple form, a marketplace of banks and lenders competed over it, and I got 4 offers back within hours. After all, the car buying game is a lot easier to win when you're holding all the cards.
LendingTree.com. When banks compete, you win. For additional information and state license disclosures, please visit our website located at lendingtree.com.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And let's get started with this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. This will be an hour to remember because if you just tuned in, you don't know this, but if you've been listening, you know that I'll be giving away in roughly 45 minutes during this hour a Diablosport Predator 2. So it boosts horsepower without even opening the hood. You can check it out at Diablosport.com. But just so that you'll know what this programmer does, it adds horsepower and, of course, economy. The economy part will depend primarily on your right foot, but just know that there's a lot of horsepower that's left on the table if you drive a Ford, GM, a Jeep, a Chrysler. There's high-speed OBD2, the data port logging. You can read and clear diagnostic codes with this handheld unit. It's USB compatible so that you can update the unit itself. It's slim, sleek case design, fits in the palm of your hand, and the full-colored button control screen is really easy to use, easy to read, and it's loaded with everything you need right out of the box. So, forewarned, I just want you to know, for everyone who calls with your car question, whether or not you get on the air, I'm going to try to get everyone on the air, but we run out of time toward the end of the program. That's why I'm front-loading this now. I want you to know the Diablosport tuner is going to be someone that's tuned in to today's broadcast, and it's going to be their prized possession. It's a $355 retail value from Diablosport called a Predator 2. 888-227-2546. 227-2546. Let's go to South Carolina. And Ted, you were first in, so you will be first up. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Great. Thank you, Bobby, for taking my call.
You're welcome.
And God bless all the veterans today.
Yes, sir.
My question is 2004 Chevrolet Suburban, 3/4 ton, electrical problems. It's got the 6.0 engine, but even when you plug in your cell phone to charge, the radio dies. And then you can, sounds funny, but you can roll the dimmer up and down on your lights.
Right.
Radio will start coming, start playing again.
Wow.
So,
well, let me ask a question. Other than the radio, headlights, horn, blower motors, I mean, does it start, crank, and run like a normal car, except it has this little weird thing going on with the radio?
Not working, but that was just a recent episode.
Okay, I missed a word. You said not working. What's not working?
The horn.
Oh, the horn. Oh, okay,
yeah.
but it's not a battery. That's not because it doesn't go. It's not because of a weak thing. I mean, it starts and runs and cranks, right?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. So it's not a battery. It's a voltage issue or a grounding issue, but you've got a known good battery because the headlights work and the car cranks and these are just side effects that you're dealing with now, not a cranking problem, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. The first thing that pops into my mind is that you have a circuit crossover. Circuit crossover, and I just made that up, but it's true. Circuit crossover means you have a poor ground, or you have a wire that is either chafed and is touching another wire, or you have a module or a fuse box that has some corrosion, and you got Tom, Dick, and Harry that lived in the same box, except they have their own individual little slot, except that the slot is corroded or rusted or something, and maybe heat got to it, and now they're sort of touching from now and then. What happens is things that shouldn't affect other things are affecting, and the fact that you can roll the dimmer, which has nothing to do but the dimmer on the dash, well, you can roll that dimmer and it affects the voltage going to the radio. Well, that tells me right there that there's a wiring problem. Now, here's a challenge. What do you do to fix it? I mean, if you took it, and there it is the challenge, and I'll just be brief here. If you came to me, I would charge you an hour for the initial investigation, and I would try, my team would try our best to determine what the challenge was. In fact, we recently had a Fiat whose lights wouldn't go off. Whose sounds like it's a real thing, isn't it? Or the car's lights wouldn't go off. The owner said, well, I'll disconnect the battery, but instead decided to pull the relay that makes the lights work. Then the lights haven't worked since. And we spent 10 hours. He didn't pay for 10 hours. We didn't charge him for 10 hours. But we spent 10 hours. We had to take the front of the car off to gain access to the wire, the whole nose of this Fiat. And we determined that we could not condemn any of the parts, but we know there's some module maybe inside the headlight assemblies. Now we're talking, several thousands of dollars, and the challenge is that if we bought one from a dealer, the only place available, we couldn't return it if that didn't fix it. So the owner says, let me think about this. And so we met with him yesterday, and he's thinking about what he is going to do. I said all that to say that when you're dealing with electrical issues in cars, it's not a question of the left taillight bulb doesn't work. If you put a new bulb in it, it doesn't work, then you got a wiring problem or a socket problem. But you've got some strange things going on. So I would suggest that you first look for technical service bulletins, and you can go to the alldata.com, alldata.com, and just browse around, and it'll save you some time, and it'll give you some personal education. And then I have this same conversation with your local service shop, and ask them, and no, don't ask them. After you have the conversation, say, I'm going to agree to an hour of your time to investigate the circuitry in this vehicle if you are and have a technician who is knowledgeable with regard to Suburbans and the 04 Chevrolet architecture. You got it?
Got it.
That's what you do. That's what you do. That doesn't mean that hour is going to fix your car, but you'll have at least a sense of direction. In addition to my directions, you'll have a sense of direction and a connection with the technician. And I'll tell you, 30 minutes into the job, whoever the technician is going to know, this is bigger than a bread box. And that's why you have to have this conversation with that person up front. You got it?
Gotcha.
Good.
I do, Bobby. Thank you so much.
You're welcome so much. Thanks for your call, Ted. We'll throw your name in the hat as well. And throw his name in the hat. That's, we will. Okay, next up, Kelly. Kelly from Florida. Hey, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Hey, Bobby. Listen, you were talking about that adjustment on the horsepower for the F-150.
Yes.
EconoBoost.
Yeah, EcoBoost.
You don't have to take the whole 116 extra horsepower, do you?
Well, no, and that's what's cool. This is really, I installed one on an F-150. It was a 15 model, and the car was had 12,000 miles on it. And the first thing you do is just plug it in and, of course, follow the directions. Well, actually, the first thing you do when you take it out of the box is you plug the unit, Kelly, the Diablosport unit, into your computer and update its software, because like when you buy a computer, the first thing you do is you plug it in and update it because there are drivers, et cetera, et cetera. And then you register the unit. So that's the first thing, and which is a nit. I mean, that's, no big deal. Then the fun part, really, you can't wait, and we did a little video on this. You plug it into the data port, and the vehicle communicates with your car and downloads to itself the current tune of your vehicle, the factory settings. So you always have those. Then it asks you questions like, what fuel will you use? Well, if you expect performance, you're going to choose 93. I mean, there's difference in there, 87, 90, or 1 or whatever. So we chose 93. And then it says, Kelly, do you use different gears in a differential and different tire size? Well, for us, we said no. And anyway, long story short, it was for us, a 7 or 8 minute, it takes 5. It was a 7 or 8 minute play around. We were astonished. And when we finished, we looked at each other, Brennan and I. This is Brennan Beasley, who is my general manager. This is his dad's truck. And Diablosport sent me this unit because I wanted to see one, touch one, and use one before I would talk about it. And the truck never ran like that and will bark the tires in second gear. So you can adjust transmission. It is a fantastic unit. Now, you don't have to set it to the maximum setting, but I'm not so sure. Well, you can always change it on the fly. I mean, you can try it for a month for one setting and then change setting and try it for again. That's a cue for me to take a break. I hope that answers your question. So yes, it is adjustable. And Kelly, thank you so much for calling, folks. I'll be back, and we'll have some more calls at 888 Car Clinic. Don't go away. We recently had the opportunity to talk tires with General Tire Senior Communications Specialist John Robinson. John explained tire speed ratings. The meaning may not be what you think.
Tire speed ratings is a tricky subject. You've got S, T, H, Z ratings and a few others, and they're all tied to miles per hour, but it's not how fast you drive. It's from a testing and a development standpoint. For instance, a T-rated tire at 118 miles an hour doesn't mean that you can drive up to that point. It's all based on developing and constructing that tire. It also depends on how you want the tire to perform and the vehicle to perform and how you drive it.
General Tire's new G-Max AS05 features smart technologies providing visual wear alerts, all-season performance, and longer tread life. It truly is a smarter tire for a smarter driver, and you can try the G-Max AS05 risk-free by taking advantage of the 45-day customer satisfaction trial. Learn more about the G-Max AS05 and other great General Tire products at GeneralTire.com. Time to go to our Car Clinic inbox. Jim in Indianapolis writes, Bobby, I have a 2010 Ford Explorer, and it's taking more than 10 minutes for the engine to warm up, whereas it used to take 6. I hear you guys talking about Stant thermostats. What makes them so special? Thanks, Jim. You probably heard me talking about the Superstat in particular. Superstat is a premium-grade thermostat that performs better and lasts longer. The Superstat features heavy-duty springs that help return it to a closed position to prevent cold running. A larger heat motor helps control engine temperature, while a heavier gauge steel housing gives it a high-end feel. Just hold one yourself, and you'll feel the difference. The Superstat is American-made and comes with a limited lifetime warranty. You definitely don't want to compromise when replacing your Explorer's engine thermostat. The Superstat helps maintain proper air-to-fuel ratio, which maximizes fuel economy, keeps tailpipe emissions in check, and provides optimal performance. Learn more about the Superstat at your local auto parts store or at stant.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Telephone tip.
From Geico Auto Insurance.
When calling Geico to switch your car insurance, you will not need acetaminophen, naproxen, indomethacin, ibuprofen, a cold compress, an on-call acupuncturist, or any other pain remedy. In 15 minutes, you could save 15% or more. If it were any more painless, you could do it in your sleep, which is theoretically possible since we offer complete 24-hour service. Call 1-800-947-AUTO, 1-800-947-AUTO. Geico Direct, the sensible alternative.
When you purchase the latest TV, tablet, or smartphone, don't forget to do the right thing with your old ones. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old devices as easy as buying new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find recycling tips, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Don't let your old tech tools clog your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. So my note now is to Miss Jan. So Miss Jan, if you would, I got her attention. if you would, let's roll that video again. To me this week came a video that was created either by or for Food City. I've never been to a Food City store because they don't have them in Florida that I know of. But I was so impressed, and it's a salute to veterans. There are no words in this 1 minute. It's a 1 minute video, television spot, and it's been shown worldwide. I can assure you, no matter from what walk of life you come, if you watch this, you will be impressed, and if you're a veteran, we honor you with this video, and it is my privilege to share this video, and that was authorized for us to air by Food City. And it's not a commercial for Food City. It is a tribute to the military and those men and women that did what they did when they had to do it, and lost life or a limb, or families lost the loved ones. So hats off to and loves to hearts to veterans of America. Yeah, go to watchbobbylive.com to see this. And if you get to watchbobbylive.com and you don't see it, you'll see me in the studio. Just let me know. Call us, 888 Car Clinic, and we'll run that again, because we've got it queued up and ready to run at any time. So if you're at watchbobbylive.com, you look at this, it will really do what it's supposed to do, and what I said it do. It'll catch your heart. Let's go to Don in Texas. Don, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thank you for holding.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
I've got a 2009 Jeep Wrangler.
Mm-hmm.
I put a new steering gearbox on.
Okay.
And I've got air in the line. And I need to know how to get that air out of the power steering system.
Well, overnight stand is what it's going to take. The more you, what happens, you put a new gearbox in, and of course when you finish with the car, you put it down on the ground, and you put fluid in the reservoir, and you crank it up, and then you start turning the wheel. And of course that's a lot of pressure, and of course when you put pressure with a low fluid, it aerates the fluid, and that's a common problem. Yes, technicians do this all the time, but it's not the proper way to do it. You're supposed to, anytime you have an occasion to replace a pressure line or replace a part, and in yours a big part on the steering or rack and pinion even, you're supposed to crank the engine up with it still on the jack stands or on the lift, so that there's no resistance and so that the unit and the pump that you crank up doesn't have to do much more than just push fluid, because the wheels are not being forced to go left or right. Although there's pressure created, that really reduces that pressure significantly, because as you know, Don, power steering systems, the biggest load, and always when the hose blows, if you have a high pressure hose that blows, it's standing still, because that's when you need it the most. Driving down the road 50 miles an hour, you don't even need power steering. And that's why today's cars have adjustable steering ratios for easier and more power in the power steering assist at slower speeds than at higher. But having said that, how many days has it been since you reassembled, and how many overnight stands have you allowed so far?
Actually, I just put it on this morning.
Oh, okay. Well, no worries. Let it idle. RPM is a no-no. What I would do, even though you have air in the system and you got this noise, go ahead and jack it up so that you have no pressure on the wheels, and with the engine idling, turn it all the way to the right, and don't go against the stop. When you hit the stop to the right, just back off and go to the left, and back off, go to the right, and continue to do that with the engine going as slow as it will go, which is idle speed, and then while you're doing this, take a look into the reservoir, and you'll see the foam. You'll see the like a mix master. You'll see that you don't have you have pretty fluid, but it's got bubbles in it, and overnight that will go away. So not to worry. And there's nothing that you can add or should add to it. Just know that is a common a factor, and what you did is a common, that this happens all the time. You understand?
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for calling, Don. Where do you live in Texas?
I'm in Longview, Texas.
Longview. Well, thank you for your call, and happy Veterans Day to you. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Happy Veterans Day to all the veterans out there.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you. That's pretty cool. What a great connection. Okay, let's go to Johnny in Washington. Johnny, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thanks for holding.
That's me. Hello.
Hello. Yeah, that's you.
Sure. You've talked to me before. I'm a tool and die maker, and I've actually raced sports cars, and I relate to what you're doing today, what you're reporting on.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. You, if you're a tool and die maker, you know that my respect for tool and die makers goes all the way back to my first race days, and I was building cars, and I won't go through the whole story except to say that this gentleman I thought could walk on water, and I said, "Oh, that's perfect, that's perfect." And he looked at me, Johnny, and you know the rest of the story, but folks that haven't heard the story don't know the story. He looked at me and he says, "No, Bobby, nothing's perfect. It's pretty close," he said. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, of course. You being a tool, and folks, just for your information, a tool and die maker makes the tools that make tools. I mean, so it really is. Hats off to you, Johnny, because you know what pretty close is.
Make pretty close. Make anything. Yeah, that's what we do. And the thing is, look at an optical comparator, and you can see a surface. No surface is really smooth. It has grinding marks and all kind of marks.
I was to that end. Just a very fast story. I was enjoying dinner with Andrew Randolph, who is a PhD, and he's the engine director of engine architecture for Earnhardt Childress Racing. They build about 700 engines a year. The guy's brilliant. He's a world-renowned combustion specialist. Anyway, so I asked him. When we were talking about engines, so I asked him about his rocker arms, because I figured that's a lot of a problem in a NASCAR engine, and I asked him about, and ultimately, and he said, "I can't tell you that." He said, he said, of all the parts and pieces of our engines, after we run them 500 miles, we'll sell them, except we melt down the rockers because it's our own proprietary design. And then I said, and you'll appreciate this, Johnny. I said, well, tell me about the finish on the cylinder wall. And now it's a friend of mine, right? He said, "Bobby, I can't share that with you." And you know what I think, Johnny, they do? I think they're mirror, because that's where the most friction comes from. Right. And it was there that I learned that it takes a little over 200 horsepower to turn the valve train of a NASCAR engine.
Wow.
It's parasitic, and you can quote me on that. So I asked him about the cylinder wall finish, because I knew it had to be slick, right? He said, I can't share that with you, and so I let it go. But here's what I believe, and you'll appreciate this. I believe that it's mirror polished and then etched with laser. And folks, you have to have a rough surface, but rough is a relative term. You have to have a surface contact, or the rings won't seal against the cylinder wall. So prettier and more polished is not the answer. Unless, because you got to have a place for oil. And, Johnny, that's where that nanotechnology comes in, and the size of molecules. So there's no telling what they're really doing. But anyway, let's get back to your reason for your call.
I discovered when I was probably 7, 8, or 9 years old, a lot of publications that one could read and learn about engines. And so I was thankful for that, and that's where I learned a lot about engines that I know. And I'm looking for where I can find similar material to read to learn more about the Diablosport.com or any of the technology that can be associated with modern, up-to-date engine electronics.
That's a great question. The two specific sites come to mind. Of course, first is Diablosport.com, which I mean, that's a no-brainer. So you can go there and then just take a look at all that they offer and all the vehicles that they cover, and then you're still not going to have the proprietary how they do what they do, but it's a reprogram. But I also would urge you to go to just Google SAE.org, because the Society of Automotive Engineers, and you, of course, you're familiar, SAE.org, or Google, and here's my favorite 2 words: white papers. I, like you, am a white paper, I won't say fanatic, but I'm so appreciative of white papers. And just yesterday, a friend of mine sent me a note from California needing my input on a paper he's writing, and he wanted my input, and he had sent that out to 5 other people, and then he sent me what they said. I did not read what they said, but after about 2 hours yesterday trying to answer his questions, and it had to do about adding water to make combustion better. Okay?
Right.
And of course, you can't pour water in the gas. That's not what he's talking about. They're talking about, a mist, a fine mist, or
I'm aware of that. Right.
Okay, humidity and what have you. And so I Googled detonation. I Googled humidity, and I Googled engine tune, and I came up with 4 or 5 very interesting sites. But these were mostly from organizations, and they're not blogs. They're not those places where you go that people have opinions. These are research and with documented evidence. In some rhetoric, but you can work your way through that. But that's what I would do.
Well, they've researched that ever since the days of Hitler. I mean that.
Oh yeah.
So I understand that, and I actually earlier in life I was a toolmaker for a guy, a company. It was Bob McKee Engineering, and he built a 4-wheel drive car.
Hey, thank you so much, Johnny, and thanks for your call, folks. I'll be right back after this pesky commercial break. Folks, October is Fall Car Care Month, and there's no better time to perform a thorough check of vehicle maintenance items. Check your battery and charging system, as colder weather strains both. Keep your battery terminals clean and free of corrosion for the best connection and a stronger charge. Clean and flush your cooling system, and be sure to use new coolant, which will eliminate rust, dirt, and sludge and help prevent your engine from overheating. And be sure to use a 50-50 mix of antifreeze and water, as water alone will corrode your cooling system, and antifreeze alone may cause your engine to run hot due to the low heat transfer rate. And winter is an especially important time to check your exhaust system for leaks, as carbon monoxide could enter your car because your windows are more likely to be up during this time of year. For more great tips, videos, and recommended service schedules, visit carcare.org. And while you're there, order your free copy of the Car Care Guide for your glove compartment. That's carcare.org.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
More than 1 million wild animals are killed each year illegally. Poaching is a major threat to our country's wildlife. I'm Tom Barry. I'm an actor with a desire to preserve living space for wildlife. The Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust does just that. Works with private landowners to protect wildlife, to preserve natural habitats. To learn more or to work with the Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust, call 800-729-SAVE. That's 800-729-SAVE, or visit wildlifelandtrust.org. Thank you.
Did you know 26 million Americans have kidney disease and most don't know it?
The day I was diagnosed, I didn't know what to do. I called the National Kidney Foundation, and the young lady who answered stayed on the phone with me and walked me through step by step. She too was surviving kidney disease, and she showed me there could be life after kidney disease.
Visit the National Kidney Foundation at kidney.org. Now you know.
We're a land of cynics. We don't believe anything anymore. You know why? Because we've been told we've won $1 million, that it's new and improved, that it slices and dices, that our favorite singer is still alive, that we'll be prosecuted if we cut off the tags, And of course, that everything is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. So when we hear the words customer service, we don't believe it. Travelocity isn't surprised if you're a little skeptical when they say they have excellent customer service, and that there's actually a pleasant face behind this website, a living, breathing person with a supercharged computer full of answers. Someone who's willing to help when you get lost, and most of all, someone that will actually pick up the phone when you call with a question or a concern. Customer service is just another example of how Travelocity puts you in control of travel. Chances are you'll never have to use it, but it's good to know it'll be there if you need it. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Going to give away a Diablosport Predator 2 this hour to one of you lucky folks. And to that end, let's go to New York and take a call from Jesse. Jesse, thank you for calling. And I'm sorry, Jesse, before I put you on the air, folks, 888 Car Clinic. 888, now's the time, 227-2546. This is a $355 retail price unit, but what's really important, it's a way to tune, if it's applicable to the car that you drive, it's a way to tune your vehicle to get more power out of your vehicle. And I will tell you, if I could only find one that would do that to my car, but it's not applicable to my automobile, I would do it in a heartbeat. Jesse, thank you again for holding. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Yeah, I'm glad to talk to you from Owego, New York.
Owego. Hey, let me tell you, I came to Owego, New York in the 80s with a round track car. There's a round track race up there, racetrack. And we had, this was, are you familiar with that?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so here was the deal, folks. We raced, well, of course, I was never a round track. I built rear engine dragsters. So in 1980, when my team says, well, we want to build for the Snowball Derby, which is a very well-known race of the year here in Pensacola, Florida, and it's coming up, the Snowball Derby. It's an annual Snowball Derby. Anybody races there because it really is an honor to be there and really an honor to win. So we had this Pinto body, but it was a chassis frame, and it really was fast. And we had not raced the car, and they had stopped racing that class of cars. And we hadn't, we'd been to a lot of different states. So I, in my infinite wisdom, decided to go to Owego, New York and race that car. So we got there. Well, wouldn't you know, they had, not my class, all the cars had multiple carburetors. Mine could only run a 1-barrel. So I had to take a 2-barrel Weber and cut it in half and use one of the throats. Fact. And we had drum brakes because we didn't really have to worry about brakes, but that track up there was flat and you had to use the brakes. I mean, the driver went out, he came back in, he says, Bobby, the car's got no brakes. I got up on the car and I went, I beat on the drum like I was doing something. Okay, try it now. I swear that's the truth. And he went out and he came back in, he says, what did you do? I said, well, what do you mean? He said, well, the brakes are the same as they were. I said, well, what do you expect me? We didn't have disc brakes. Well, I said all that to say this. At the hotel that night, everyone came over to us and thanked us for driving all the way from Florida with our little Pinto on a trailer to Owego, New York. Even though we didn't outrun those guys, we ran with them. And I've never been treated so courteously in my life, and I didn't expect that. And so there's my story, and so I have in my heart a spot for Owego, and it's not Oswego. That's another town, right? Right, Jesse?
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, that's my story. So what's yours?
Well, I'm just curious how that Diablo would work on a 2001 Oldsmobile Bravada.
Well, it would not. It's not applicable to if that's your car, it's not applicable. So, sad to say. I wish it were, but it's directed toward the later model ECMs, electronic control modules, that have the programming. Even though your car has the OBD2, the same data port, the CAN network, the network that programs and the allowable program and the entry into the gatekeeper and get past the gatekeeper of the system is not there. And I think, Jesse, the bottom line is there's not a lot of people that have your particular car, so that's not their market. But General Motors is their market, but it has to be, of course, like a 07, a Ram or an 07 up, and I don't know that for sure, but you can find out by going to Diablosport.com. But in your case, I can tell you, you're not going to find it. So I wish it were, but it's not applicable to your car.
There's just something about that year of a car. There's so many changes between 2000 and 2002. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, sure was. Hey, thank you so much for calling, and thanks for listening to my story. And please share a thank you to anybody and everyone that you know that knows about the round track up there. I don't even remember the name of the track, but the courteous nature and the friendliness and the can we help you? I mean, it was just over the top, and you don't forget those sort of things when you're in somebody else's town, if you know what I mean.
I do.
Okay.
I do.
Thank you, my friend. We'll take another call now from David. David, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Yeah, thank you, Bobby. Thanks for taking the call.
You're welcome, sir.
I have a 2004 RV. It's a Chevy one-ton chassis, and I've got a flashing engine light. I don't drive the vehicle very much at all, and I normally crank it once a month and let it run for about 30, 45 minutes.
Okay.
But with this flashing engine light, should I do that?
No. No. If the engine light comes on and stays on, that could be something as simple as a gas cap or evap system or what have you. When that light starts flashing, that means that there's detrimental damage that can be produced. In other words, you've got Tom, Dick, and Harry under the hood, and Tom's not doing his work, and he's supposed to keep the gas cap sealed. That's not a big deal. And Dick's job's not a big deal. But Harry, on the other hand, controls the timing and the fuel. And if he bumps the timing the wrong way, he could burn a valve or run too lean. So there are different levels of challenges, and the check engine light covers like a multitude of those. But when it's flashing, it's a do not drive. Take that car in and have it have a shop. And David, let me share this with you. You want to go to a certified shop, like we're ASA, Automotive Service Association. You want to go to a certified shop because a flashing light, you don't need the code to be read. You need a professional that has a tool, a scan tool, professional, and it's not a $35 handheld too, that goes into the architecture and can not only read the code that's there, but trigger and find out what's causing the check engine light to flash, because that is a warning sign and you should not drive the car. Got it?
I got it. So
Okay,
I
my
should
friend.
have it towed and not drive it to a shop?
As long as it has oil and water and it's full of oil and water, yes, you could drive it to a shop, but you shouldn't take it on a trip, But
Gotcha.
But so it's not going to die. But the fact that it's flashing means that it's an immediate now. It's not a when you get around to it. You got it?
Gotcha.
Thank you, my friend. Let's go now to Bill. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Good morning, Bobby.
Good
How's
morning.
it going?
Really well, thank you. Thanks for asking. How about yourself?
Oh, it's chilly up here. It's been down in the 20s. I guess winter's come. I've got a 1969 Firebird,
Okay.
and it's kind of a multifaceted question about the suspension.
Okay.
I get the front tires rub inside the wheel well.
Yeah.
Is the problem, and the multifaceted part is that those cars ended up having a low rear end on them a lot in that era, and I put air shocks on the back of it and to level it up, but also the tires that are on it are a little bit bigger than what it calls for.
Well,
And
that's
wondering.
yeah. That's
I was thinking about putting some of those rubber things in the springs. I'm wondering about if the springs are weak, and how would I know that? And would that have any detriment in putting those rubber things in the springs to stiffen them up a little bit?
Well, that will affect. I've done that. We've all done that over a period of learning. And those rubber blocks that go into springs would be well, yes. The answer is yes. You can do that. The airbags in the rear, the air shocks, really that's not the proper way, because an air shock is not an airbag, and it does offset the load, for temporary overloads. But that will be short-lived, because those airbags are just simply not robust enough to sustain the heavy weight lifting, and you're using them to jack the car up versus using them to offset extra weight from time to time because you're carrying passengers or something in the trunk. But if you combine those bags with the rubber blocks you're talking about, now, and you have to strategically place those rubber blocks, I would say 2 per rear coil, and you can combine those in, that car has rear coils, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you could use the rubber blocks and put them, strategically positioned, and leave the air out of the bag and see what that gives you. And yes, that will absolutely take, between the two of them, that's a no-brainer. As far as the tire scrubbing the fender well, that's an oversized tire. I don't think that I'd worry about it. Just don't turn it that far. I mean, that's you know what I mean? I mean, so I can tell you to put the right tire back on, but you got the tire you want on the car, so just don't turn it that far. Now, that's only applies if the front's not sagging. If the front is sagging, then I think you should put new springs on the front and not use rubber blocks in the front. Okay. Because that will affect the how that hits the ground, and the rear goes along for the ride, but all the front is where you got the transmission, engine, and all the related. So you got a lot of more weight on the front. So using rubber blocks would only, and enough to really make it come up, would put so much pressure. So I would put new springs in the front, and whatever you do, Bill, don't put heavy duty springs. Get the factory replacement spring. Don't increase the rate of the spring. It will jack the front end up, and you'll look like something's dragging the back of the car.
Mm-hmm. Like got a dead body in the trunk.
Yeah, and you don't want anybody to stop you and say, why are you stopping me? Well, I heard you in Likis, and I think you got a dead body in the trunk. Hey, my friend, thank you for your call, and I think you've got that was some good advice there. That's what I would do if it were mine. You got it?
All right, appreciate it.
Appreciate you. Thank you. Folks, I want to share this with you just quickly. I talked about and shared with you about the Car Care Council. There's a guide. You go to carcare.org and get this booklet, and it really is a no-brainer. And you can have a no-brainer here, but for if you think about all of the water damage, and this is like directed for all of you in Texas, and of course Florida as well, but specifically Texas, the cars that were lost in Texas equals more than 200,000 cars. Well, guess what? How many of those are going to make it back to the market? Well, the consensus is 50% of them. Of the 50%, how many chances, what's your chances of buying one and you don't know it's been damaged? How would you know? Let me give you this information because it's from the Car Care Council and they know what they're talking about. Here's the first one. I'll make this quick. Take the Sniff Test. What is that? Just leave the car closed and the windows closed in the sun for about 10 minutes and then go open the door. And if there's any mildew in there, you'll smell it. It's just mold. It's the distinctive smell of that. Also, try the touch test. Get paper towels. Dig down in the carpet and push that paper towel. Maybe pull the carpet back a little bit and push the paper towel. Any moisture down there, the paper towel is going to tell you. And then take a look under the seats and the dash for signs of corrosion. That will tell you that. Inspect the instrument panel. Turn every electronic piece on and off, the dimmers, all this, and make sure it works because you want to make sure that the electronics are not damaged. And then take it to a professional and have them to do an annual inspection, overall inspection. And here is the last one. It's my favorite. Look under the seats for rusty hardware or springs. And if you see no rusty hardware, but you do see new nuts and bolts, what you will see is that the nuts and bolts, if the seat's been out and they've been new carpet, the nuts and bolts used are standard automotive hardware and not factory hardware, because the factory uses anodized special nuts and bolts because they've got all this. We don't use that in the aftermarket. There's no need. We use flat washers, lock washers, and regular nuts like you buy at a hardware store. So if you've got all new hardware holding the seats on, that's a challenge. Most of the time, you won't see that. If the car's been underwater, it will be rusty. You don't want to buy that car. So for more information, go to carcarecouncil.org and download their terrific general service schedule. And then for more, tune in next week to Bobby Likis Car Clinic, and every week from 10 to noon Eastern Time. Okay, it's time now for me to choose. And actually, we pulled a name out of the hat, and the team has already done that. And the Diablosport winner, and folks, I got to tell you again, what an honor and a privilege it is for me to share with you products and product knowledge that I know works. How do I know? Because I'm 47 years in the automotive service. But you program your vehicle at high-speed data logging, easy USB connection for updates. This Diablosport is slim, sleek, and the case fits right in the palm of your hand. And the winner of the Diablosport tuner is Dan from New York with an 03 Ram. How cool is that? Congratulations, Dan. You will be a happy camper with this $355 retail value gift from Bobby Likis Car Clinic and Diablosport. And folks, for the rest of you, I'll be back next week. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
P-Ricey Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, Loden, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, it starts my morning. Happy morning, your name is Folgers Mountain Grow. Now you're here, your aroma helps me wake, and the day is mine to take. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
2, 1, mark.